What's going on, everybody? Cleepus Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, we're going to be doing a quick comparison between the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro 5G and the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G 2021. Now, before we go any further, as always, I do want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to learn more about either of these phones individually, I will be linking to several other videos about them in the description, as well as some information about pricing, availability, and some of my favorite smartphone accessories. But with that being said, let's get into it. So with the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro, we're getting a 6.82-inch IPS LCD display with a 720p resolution, a PPI of 263, and an aspect ratio of 20.5:9. With the Moto G Stylus 5G, we're getting a 6.8-inch IPS LCD display with a 1080p resolution, a PPI of 386, and an aspect ratio of 20:9. So in general, both phones do have pretty good displays, but overall, with a 1080p resolution versus only 720p, the Moto G Stylus 5G has a noticeably sharper image. So if you're consuming a lot of content, like watching videos, looking at photos, that kind of stuff, well, you're not going to get a bad experience with the Revvl 6 Pro. Things are going to look quite a bit better with the Moto G Stylus 5G. Now, both phones are getting 128GB of internal storage with microSD card expansion, so no difference here, but definitely keep in mind, this is a really good amount of storage, especially for more affordable phones like these. So if the storage is important to you, then either phone will be a good option. For security features, both phones do have Face Unlock, and they both have fingerprint scanners. With the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro, it's right here on the power key, and with the Moto G Stylus 5G, it's right here on the back in a more classic spot. But starting with the Revvl 6 Pro, let's go ahead and give them a try. There we go, one more time. And there we go. And now for the Stylus 5G. There we go, one more time. And there we go. So as you can see, both fingerprint scanners were real fast and responsive, no issues at all. And again, remember, these phones do have Face Unlock too, so if you want to use that instead, you always can. Now for the camera setups here, with the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro, we got a water drop notch for the front-facing camera. This camera is 16 megapixels. Then on the back, we got a quad camera setup with a 50 megapixel main camera, a 5 megapixel ultra-wide camera, a 2 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera. For video, this phone has a max recording quality of 2K in the rear camera and 1080p in the front. With the Moto G Stylus 5G, we get a nice looking hole punch design for the front-facing camera. This camera is also 16 megapixels. Then on the back, we got a quad camera setup with a 48 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera. And for video, the Moto G Stylus 5G has a max recording quality of 1080p in both the rear and front cameras. So as you can see, as far as features go, these phones have pretty much everything, including an ultra-wide camera and a macro camera. So if you're taking a lot of pictures and you want a wider variety of features, then you're most likely going to be happy with either phone. And when it comes to quality, there's not really a significant difference between the two, but I would say for the average user, for pretty much any kind of situation, especially stuff like social media, the photo quality you get with either phone will be perfectly fine. Now when it comes to RAM and processor, with the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro, we're getting 6GB of RAM with the MediaTek Dimensity 700 processor. With the Moto G Stylus 5G, we're getting 4GB of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 480 5G processor. Now keep in mind, with the Moto G Stylus 5G, there is another variant of this phone that has 6GB of RAM, but as you can see here, again, the phone in my hand does have 4. For the overall performance, these phones are going to be about the same, and they're really not that bad. On one hand, if you're going to be on your phone all day, or maybe you're doing more demanding activities like higher performance mobile gaming, in that kind of situation, you're probably going to want to get something a little bit faster. But for more normal average activities like web browsing, social media, stuff like that, either phone will be perfectly fine. Now I did run Geekbench 5 benchmark tests on both phones, and here are the scores I got. So again, in general, as you can see here, there's not really a significant performance difference. So between the two, I definitely wouldn't use that as a main deciding factor. That being said, again, while these phones aren't really super fast or anything, they most likely will be plenty fast enough to give you a good experience. Now for the battery, both phones have 5000 mAh batteries, with the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro supporting 15W fast charging, and the Moto G Stylus 5G supporting 10W fast charging. So overall, for the most part, the batteries are going to be pretty much the same. With 5000 mAh batteries, you can expect to get great battery life and longevity with either phone. So if you're maybe not always around a charger, but you still want to use your phone all day, either phone is going to be a great choice for that kind of situation. But that being said, the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro does have a bit of an advantage, because in addition to having slightly better fast charging, this phone also has wireless charging, which is not something you see every day in this price range. So if you do want slightly better fast charging and wireless charging, the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro will be a better choice. But if you don't really care, then keep in mind, these phones have the same battery size, so as far as battery life and longevity go, they should be about equal. Now as far as the software goes, as you can see here, the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro does have Android 12, whereas the Moto G Stylus 5G only has Android 11. So if the software is more important to you, then the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro will have an advantage. Now that being said, I have heard reports of several Moto G Stylus 5Gs actually getting Android 12 too, but as you can see, this phone in my hand does only have Android 11, and in general, the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro is just a newer phone overall. So if that kind of thing is really important to you, then between the two, the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro will be a better choice. As far as other features go, as the name suggests, the Moto G Stylus 5G of course does have a stylus, which is definitely a little bit less common, so if you do want a phone with a stylus, then definitely keep this in mind. But on the other hand, unfortunately this phone doesn't have NFC, but the Revvl 6 Pro does, so if you like to make contactless mobile payments using tap and pay, but maybe you don't really care a whole lot about a stylus, in that case, the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro will be a better choice. But in conclusion, which of these phones is better? In general, these phones are really similar and actually almost equal in a lot of ways. Overall, if you're looking for an affordable 5G phone that has plenty of storage, good performance, a good camera, and a great battery, you're really not going to go wrong with either phone. That being said though, if you want a slightly newer software, wireless charging, and NFC, the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro will be a better choice. That being said, on the other hand, if you want a stylus and a significantly better image quality, then you're probably going to be better off with the Moto G Stylus 5G. But this concludes my comparison between the T-Mobile Revvl 6 Pro and the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G 2021. Again, if you want to learn more about either phone individually, definitely check out the video description, where I will be linking to several other videos about each phone, as well as some information about pricing, availability, and some of my favorite smartphone accessories. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow Cleepus Tech on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, I will see you in the next video.